So Barack Obama is back making the rounds. Okay. He says that Black men should be voting for Kamala Harris. And I just think that I have a lot to say about this. I think that it's time. It is time, Black America. It is time for us to revisit Barack Obama in general. So when people were pointing out some oddities about Barack Obama, right, everyone was quick to go, oh, that's because of racism. Like, that's like, come on, this is absolutely happening because you just don't like him because he's Black. And I count myself among them. I have to always remind you guys, like, I was a liberal or left-leaning. I never actually voted for Democrats, but I, too, thought that anybody that was saying anything about him was racially motivated. I cried the night that Barack Obama won. But I want to be clear. I've grown up since. I've got 3 kids now. I'm married. I'm seeing the world through a different way. I realize what the media is, and I realize how they really do think that Black people are stupid. And in the retrospect, there were definitely some very weird things about Barack Obama. For example, and this is just a fact, back in 1991, when Barack Obama was completely unknown to the public, he was working with a literary agency that was named Acton and Distal, okay? They were tasked with promoting his first book, which was a book that was meant to be entitled Journeys in Black and White, which actually never wound up being published. But in anticipation of his book being published, they were promoting Barack Obama and other authors that were on their roster. And they promoted them in a booklet, which they distributed to people in the publishing industry, like, hey, here are our authors that we want you to publish. And in the booklet, they included a biography of all of their clients. And this is the biography that they included of Barack Obama. Okay, take a look here. It says, this is real, 100% real. Barack Obama, the first African-American president of the Harvard Law Review, was born in Kenya and raised in Indonesia and Hawaii. The son of an American anthropologist and a Kenyan finance minister, he attended Columbia University and worked as a financial journalist and editor for Business International Corporation. So the whole concept of whether or not he was born in Kenya was not coming out of racist ideas, right? It wasn't because people were just trying to delegitimize him. It was because he had a literary agent, and that literary agent published a pamphlet, and that pamphlet said that he was born in Kenya. And then suddenly that changed, and they were like, no, never mind. He was born in the USA. That person who published this never gave an answer for why they wrote that. They tried to say like, oh, like that maybe the literary agency just wrote that. Why would anybody just write that you're born in Kenya? It's like a weird thing to write. He did, by the way, grow up in Indonesia. That's a fact, right? He, like, at the first 8 years of his life were spent in Indonesia. His mother moved him to Indonesia, and he went by a totally different name. He went by the name Barry Soetoro. Here's an old clip of journalist Matt Meager from Inside Edition revealing that truth. Just so you know, these were not conspiracies. Okay, take a listen.
As Senator Barack Obama has made his run for president, some have questioned his background, particularly the 4 years he spent as a child in Indonesia. He was educated in 2 schools, first a Catholic school and then later a public school.
This is the Assisi Catholic Grammar School in Jakarta, Indonesia. And Barack Obama is on his way to becoming its most famous former student.
Barack Obama.
The only record of Obama having attended the school is this old register. And look, it lists his name as Barry Soetoro. That's the name Obama took from his Indonesian stepfather, Lolo Soetoro.
Okay, so whatever you make of this, what we know is that Barack Obama was, first and foremost, right after she gave birth, his white mother is the person that raised him, okay? Her name is Stanley Dunham. There she is, right there. That is Stanley Dunham. Okay, he never lied about this. He did not grow up in a household with his Kenyan father at all, Barack Obama Sr., whatever. He was raised by his mother, Stanley Dunham, and then she married a person who worked for the Indonesian government as a geographer. She married Lolo Soetoro, and Barry Soetoro was born. You know, he then moved to Indonesia. He went to school in Indonesia, and then he gets sent back to Hawaii at the age of 10 to get raised by his exceedingly white grandparents. Here's a picture of his grandparents. That's Madeline Dunham and Stanley Dunham, the person whose mother has the name of her father. And there was very little information available about Lolo Soetoro, very few pictures available about Lolo Soetoro, his stepdad. Well, I didn't realize that Judge Joe Brown, man, that judge is coming with the receipts, actually sat down in an interview with Scoon TV and called out Lolo Soetoro. He claims that he was a CIA operative. Take a listen.
Well, there are pictures of Bush with his arm around 8-year-old Barack Obama because his stepdaddy, adopted daddy, Lolo Soetoro, had done a lifetime worth of business with the Bushes.
Wow.
Uncle George Herbert Walker, after whom George Herbert Walker Bush, Bush 1 president, was named, founded Halliburton in 1946 in Oklahoma. And Lolo Soetoro had been international executive vice president for Standard Oil.
There was talk of him being a CIA asset.
Well, yeah,
Indonesia.
see, he ran the death squads for the Indonesian army. On his own call, anyone could be assassinated. So when George Herbert Walker Bush became head of the CIA under the Ford administration, he just got with his old buddy in the oil business, Lolo Soetoro, and pulled off the hits. See, Barack's grandmother has been acknowledged as being the woman that operated the channels through which CIA money went to the Southwest Pacific. So she introduced her daughter, who had just had Barack, to Lolo Soetoro, and they got married, and Lolo Soetoro adopted Barack Obama. The name was changed to Barry Soetoro.
And in case you didn't know this, he was extraordinarily wealthy. You probably could figure that out by all of us moving around. That's why while he was in Hawaii, he was enrolled in a private school. He attended the Punahou School, where tuition is for grades K through 12. Tuition is $31,000 per year.
Now, Business Insider reports his income for 2017 at over $200 million net. That's after taxes, deductions, write-offs. For this last year, 2018, they reported it as $570+ million. And that's after all deductions, tax, right? Trump doesn't make that net. Even some of the richest people in America don't make that. Why? Because when his stepdaddy died, he was one of the 10, 15 richest men on earth. And he left everything in a trust fund operated out of Indonesia, so the American government can't touch it. That makes Barack Obama 1/3 beneficiary for the assets of one of the 10, 15 richest men on earth. See, so we got a game run on us.
So it's important to note also that in 1970, when Barry Obama got to Hawaii, there were only 5,925 Black people in all of Hawaii. Okay. And it's worth noting that 80% of those, north of 80% of those 5,000 Black people were in the military. He was not exposed to Black people at all, is what I'm trying to make the point. Okay. He had literally not a single part of his upbringing was he around Black people. And then after that, after going to his $31,000 per year private school in Hawaii, he goes to Occidental College in Occidental University or college, whatever it is, in California for 2 years, where he roomed with a white guy for the first year, white guy with blonde hair. He's written about it for his freshman year, and then moved to live off campus in his sophomore year with a Pakistani for 1 year. So then Barry Obama met and dated a woman in his sophomore year. Her name was Alexandra McNear. You might remember she's the one that released the letters that Barry wrote to her where he talked about his homosexual feelings. Like he says, like he makes loves to men in his mind. And so he had like homosexual inklings. He then went to Columbia University and still dated Alexandra McNear and was writing her these letters at that time. Anyways, I'm just thinking like, what part of Barack Obama's life gave him the authority to tell Black men how to act Black in America, suddenly lamenting the fact that Black men just aren't energetic enough for Kamala Harris. Take a listen.
We have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers.
The brothers.
So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all. when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences. He's had to work harder and do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land.
I'm sorry, Barry Soetoro, but you are going to have to sit your ass down. I got to tell him right now. That's what Barry has to sit his ass down. This is like, she understands the struggle no more than you understand the struggle. Both of you, okay? How does this work? Again, Barack Obama was raised by three extraordinarily wealthy white adults. There's nothing wrong with that. But why are you speaking to the brothers? Like, when did it become the brothers? What is this? How do three white people raise a strong black brother? I want to know. Is it like grandma and granddad Dunham raised him to be a strong black man, just like Kamala's Indian mother raised her to be a strong Indian woman or something? What about you is culturally black? Barack Obama is not culturally black. I'm sorry. It's time for us to accept that. We have to just come to terms with the fact that we have been being played by Democrats for a very long time. And the reality is he is just as shady in terms of his background as Kamala Harris. I am a firm believer that they are breeding politicians. His background is almost too similar to Kamala Harris's in terms of literally no relation to the black community, having so much wealth, and then as if they went through a school of what it is exactly that they should say to relate to the brothers, to relate to the sisters. Oh, a little bit of Cardi B. I can't, okay? I'm sorry. I'm done with this. And I am actually very happy that black men seem to be taking a larger leap away from this. I hope that black women will follow suit and recognize this to see how ridiculous it is. But I'm very grateful that black men seem to be holding the line. Like, I am with that 100%.